Hi everyone, it's Stephanie Weaver here in the Blue and Yellow Kitchen with my special guest, Stacy Dermont, all the way from the Hamptons on Long Island on the other coast. Welcome, Stacy.
Thank you.
And Stacy's the co-author of the Hamptons Kitchen along with Hillary Davis. We're going to be making the Hamptons fish burger, and so we're going to jump right into the recipe, and then once it's in the oven, Stacy and I are going to chat. So I have already showed her that I have some I think it's local cod from the freezer that our neighbors caught. This one wasn't labeled, so I'm not 100% sure. It might be rockfish. Baked at 400 yesterday. And I'm going to break it up with a fork, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm breaking it up with a fork. And this is also where if you, you can also look out for little pin bones, just in case that it wasn't filleted perfectly. That's the one thing, you know, fish does have bones, usually if they're filleted well, but it depends on the type of fish too. And what fish would you be making this from if you were making it in the Hamptons, Stacy?
Frequently flounder, or perhaps a striped bass, or summer flounder, fluke. If I'm lucky enough to have some leftover halibut, that would be lovely.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, we do get, sometimes they'll give us halibut and then I have to think of something really special to do with it because it's such a beautiful fish. I don't want to just like fry it or something that's kind of sad. All right, so got the fish. Does that look like good enough in terms of being broken up? Okay, good. All right, so we've got 2 tablespoons. She calls for Parmigiano Reggiano. Did not have that, so it's Romano.
Did you want to put carrot in there?
Oh yeah, the carrot's in the fridge. Thank you. So one thing I forgot to pull out. Yep. So how much carrot? Remind everybody.
1 medium carrot grated, so really like a quarter cup, whatever you feel.
Okay. Yep. So
our recipes are very flexible and open to interpretation.
Great. And then we've got 2 tablespoons of a whole yellow mustard seed, which seems like a lot to me, but I'm trusting you.
Yeah, it's really quite mild in the seed form.
Okay. And then, so I did have, she calls for like finely minced kelp. I actually had that. So this is a triple blend, dulse, laver, and sea lettuce flakes.
Oh, that's great.
So, and that provides a lot of umami and some natural sodium, lots of vitamins and minerals in the seaweed, which is really cool. Now, do you guys have seaweed producers there in the Hamptons that you go to, or?
We have them nearby. We have them in the Thimble Islands, and we import a lot of that sort of thing from Maine, from the coast of Maine.
Nice. And then we've got some white pepper, and you called for 1/8 of a teaspoon of smoked hot paprika. I only have smoked paprika, so that's what I'm going with.
That's cool.
Because we're going to be putting some hot sauce on them, so I thought that probably would be sufficient.
Well, in terms of being flexible with the recipes, I always figure if you have it in your kitchen, that's what you like to use.
Yeah.
So that's what you should use.
It's true. Then I've got a large egg that has been sitting out, so it's room temp. And I'm going to just beat it up a little bit before I throw it in. So that's my beating the egg sound. In case
I like that sound.
I know. Just have to make sure you have a tall enough bowl, otherwise you make a big mess.
Yeah.
All right, so now what I'm going to be doing is adding up to a cup of seasoned Italian breadcrumbs. So what I had was, did 2 pieces of gluten-free bread, and I like Trader Joe's has a brown rice bread that I really like that's pretty low in sodium because I'm on a low sodium diet. Toasted those, then ran them through the food processor and added some Italian seasoning. So if you don't have breadcrumbs, you can make your own. They're very easy to make. And yeah.
And our recipes are really low sodium throughout the book. You know, you're invited to add salt to taste.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I liked. I mean, the recipes, we're going to talk about the recipes in a minute. They looked really great. So, okay, so I've got, I would say it's fairly, can you see? Yeah. Fairly loose.
Yeah.
So how much, would you start with like half of the breadcrumbs and see how it goes, or?
Yeah.
What am I looking for in terms of the texture?
Should be, relatively firm, not loose.
Okay. And able to be, formed into a patty,
formed
right?
into patties.
So wondering about whether this seems a little on the dry side, so I'm not sure if I might need another egg.
You can throw in a touch of water if you need it.
Okay. So you would go with water versus another egg if it's a little dry?
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't want it too eggy.
Okay. All right. I'm really hoping there's not bones in there. All right. So I'm just gonna use my hands. Okay. So is that what I'm looking for? Like it?
Yeah. I mean, it might be a little sticky, and that's okay. You're
Okay.
just forming it into 4 patties.
4 patties. Okay. So I'm not sure that more breadcrumbs would help at this point. So we're gonna give it a shot and just try to make the patties.
Yeah, and if you toasted those breadcrumbs, then they're particularly dry, as breadcrumbs go.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like it's holding together. So if you've made like meatloaf, meatballs,
Right.
that sort of texture is what you're going for because you want it to hold together. This time I remembered to put a towel on the counter. I don't always remember. So I'm learning as we go.
If you wanted to use those breadcrumbs after you form the patties, you could sort of roll a side or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to rearrange the counter here for a second so that everybody can see what I'm doing. All right. Okay. So we're going to do do you just eyeball it? So you just kind of divide the mixture into 4?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
don't tell anyone, but I eyeball everything.
Woman after my own heart.
You write a cookbook when you never measure things.
Yeah.
In your own kitchen.
Yeah. All right. So I'm forming it into a ball, and then you're just kind of gently squishing it flat.
Yep.
Okay. All right. All right. So you grew up on a farm, correct?
Yes, ma'am. In North Otter, New York. That's just south of Buffalo.
Oh, okay. So not on Long Island. Okay. What kind of a farm was it? What did you guys produce?
It was a dairy farm in my grandparents' generation, but I was not allowed to milk cows because I was supposed to go to college. So my whole adulthood I spent trying to get back to the farm.
Oh, that's funny. So I just did find a bone as I was forming the patty. So as you're forming them, you can kind of go, oh, that feels sharp. Let's make sure that doesn't stay in there.
Yeah.
So did you go to college?
I did.
And what did you study?
I studied theater and anthropology and creative writing and waste management.
Oh, wow.
So everything you need to write a cookbook.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, that explains all the sort of food waste and composting information. Okay, I love it.
Exploring, eliminating food waste.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute as well. So tell us about so there's a little kind of sidebar on this recipe about the fish burger and
folks out here in 2016 created the Montauk fish burger, and the original recipe for that is quite different from what we're calling the Hamptons fish burger, but that recipe was created by Chef Eric Riper, who lives out here as well as in the city, and the idea was to eliminate waste, to use up those little fish bits in the various restaurants, and also to use what might have gone to waste from fish to make the Montauk fish burger for school cafeterias. And it's a delicious burger, but it's quite fishy. So I was really surprised that the kids out here went for it because of that fishy flavor. A lot of adults don't care for fishy. This burger you're making now is very light, not fishy at all, but I think it's tasty.
Great. Okay, so just went in the oven, and I'm setting the timer for 10 minutes, and then we're going to flip them and put some hot sauce on them, and cook them for a couple more minutes after that. So let me just move a couple things, and then we're going to talk about your beautiful book. So I also have washed my hands so that my hands don't have fish goo all over them, and I'm going to show off your beautiful book. So who photographed the book? Did you have one photographer or multiple photographers?
Yeah, we had one photographer, my dear friend Barbara Lassett, who also lives out here. She lives in Manorville, Long Island. I live in Sag Harbor. Hillary, the co-author, lives in Bridgehampton.
Great.
And and Barbara would come at the drop of a hat and shoot for us, and she was really lovely throughout. And it was a crazy time of calling and saying, "Hey, Barbara, can you meet us at the beach at 4?" You know, that's how we put it together. It was just very organic, the whole thing. It just came together very naturally.
So I'm showing off right now some of the pictures, and then we're going to talk about some of these recipes. So this is the Flourless Espresso cookies, which chocolate hazelnut, sound amazing. I'm totally going to make those. So these are all the things that I've bookmarked. And then this is a eggplant farm lasagna. So it's kind of a combination of lasagna and eggplant parmesan. Is that right?
Yeah, because why should you choose?
Why should you choose?
You don't have to choose.
I love it. Clam chowder with parsley butter croutons. Yum. And then I've got 2 more to show off, and then we'll talk about kind of the whole book as a whole. And that's a crunchy mac and cheese, which again sounds delicious. And then slow roasted honeyed chicken or rabbit. Okay, so tell us how did this book come to be? Like, how did you and Hillary? So I know Hillary through the food cookbook world, and I had reached out and let people know that I was doing this series, and if they had a new cookbook, I would be happy to feature it. So she reached out, and then it turned out this was Stacy's recipe, so that's why we have Stacy with us today. So how did you guys decide to write a cookbook together?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me today. I was working out here at a local magazine at the time I met Hillary. It was 2016. She was out here in Bridgehampton shooting her most recent French cookbook, French Desserts. She has 4 really lovely French cookbooks under her belt, and I was always really impressed with those. And she's just a very lovely person, and we hit it off on contact. So when she was done shooting that book, I started going to her house for dinner roughly once a week. You can't say no to a cookbook author.
Right. Or you shouldn't.
Go to dinner. Yeah. And her approach to entertaining is very laid back, very casual, just informed by her European experiences, and lovely. And I felt very comfortable in her home, and I told her about my dream cookbook, which was seasonal and local to the East End. And after about a year of these dinners, she said, "Let's write it." So we did. We had to come up with over 100 recipes. Most of them are original to the book. Because it's my first cookbook, some of them are my grandmother's recipes. For example, apple pie. But we sat down and devised what dishes made sense for each season, and we divided the year into 5 seasons because low summer and high summer are so very different. And we just divvied it up. We did over 50 recipes each. I don't know why she thought I could do that because I'd never written a cookbook before, but I was ready and very excited. And this is pretty much the cookbook that we dreamed about writing together.
That's awesome. Well, I was interested in it. I grew up in Stamford, Connecticut, so across the Sound from Long Island. And so some of the food and the cooking was sort of similar to me, but I think I also, seen a bunch of movies filmed in the Hamptons, Nancy Meyer films, and, with Diane Keaton and stuff. And so you kind of have this, image of the Hamptons, like big homes and rich people. And that's sort of similar to La Jolla here in San Diego, where there's, this fairly rich enclave, but then there's all the rest of us, the normal people. Right. We have a lot of farms here in San Diego. We're on the other coast, obviously, but, Long Island also produces a ton of food, and you have fishermen, we have local fishermen. So there was just a lot of commonalities, and I thought it sounded really interesting. And then I loved that, so the way the book is set up, that's 5 minutes to go till I flip. The book is set up with the 4 seasons. So the recipes are based on seasonal ingredients. And that's something, I want you to talk a little bit more about that, having grown up on a farm and also supporting both local farmers and local artisan food producers and fishermen.
Sure. Well, that was a big goal of ours. And actually, in the back of the book, there's a whole long list of local producers and their contact information because we want everybody to take advantage. But the larger idea for the cookbook for me was always that potentially this could serve as a sort of model for other regions in the country, in the world, because we took such a holistic approach. I've read a million farmers market cookbooks and a million farm cookbooks and a million seasonal cookbooks, and they tend to just, I'm underestimating, it's more than a million, but they didn't just say, serve green beans in the summer, whereas we wanted to take the different dishes and work more than one local ingredient into each one and really follow those very specific seasons to the nth degree. And that's not just because we're into it, but because when food comes into season is when it's both its most delicious and its most nutritionally sound. So, that's what you want to eat, folks. And we'd really love it if people picked up on this idea and wrote regional cookbooks where they are. Certainly the Hamptons Kitchen is adaptable to basically any region because it tells you what's in season and it has these very simple, straightforward recipes. But also we have local wine and beer pairings, and that could be done in another cookbook in another region, possibly California.
Yeah.
And we would have liked to have devoted more time and space to local producers and chefs and things, but
that's 3 minutes. We're good. 3 minutes. We're good.
And as you're heating these patties, the point is just to get them heated through. It's not that you're cooking them because the fish is already cooked.
Right.
So.
We want to cook the egg, but the rest of the ingredients are already cooked.
Exactly.
And get them all kind of meld together. Great. And so one of the things that I really liked about the cookbook, Hillary has lived in Provence and the south of France, and then you've got the farm background, and I thought the two voices blended really nicely so that anytime I was feeling like, this is a little snooty, I'd turn the page and then there would be like a farm recipe, and I'd be like, okay, these are my people. Like, I can relate to this. And so I think it's both aspirational and also super accessible, which is what I really liked about it. And we've got 3 minutes before I have to flip these, but let me just talk about the things that I highlighted. So, when I saw the Hamptons fish burgers with micrograins, I also have to say that I did try sprouting. I had 3 different, oops, I just dropped water on the book, dang it. So I'll show you, I'm not there yet. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to buy microgreens for this. But I thought, let me try sprouting. So I tried sprouting onion seeds, which apparently had been irradiated, so they wouldn't sprout. And then I also tried sprouting mustard seeds, also no-go. So then I went to my millet. So I was hoping I was going to be able to dress them with microgreens, but alas, not happening.
That's okay.
Hopefully I didn't mess up the book. Okay, and then, so let me just show you sort of what else I was really attracted to.
Sure.
So
I'm curious to know.
Flourless espresso chocolate hazelnut cookies. Okay, I'm a sucker for the flourless cookie, and I'm also gluten-free. So these are naturally going to be gluten-free. And then there's just something about espresso and hazelnut and chocolate together that just sounded amazing. So I was super excited about those. Then then this crazy farm lasagna with the eggplant parmesan, I was like, well, that just sounds amazing, and I'm totally going to have to make that. Because I'd never heard of anybody doing that, of putting, the eggplant parm on top of a lasagna. It's sort of like ridiculous, but also completely amazing. So
it's just something I love to do because I can't choose. I love lasagna and eggplant parm. They tend to end up together in my house, so it happened.
For sure. And then the clam chowder, there's always a debate about, New England style versus Manhattan style, which is the tomato based. I always love the really creamy one. So of course I'm completely attracted to that. And, and I would make the croutons with the gluten-free bread so they could be gluten-free. Okay, now it's time to flip. So I'm going to do that. And I'm just like a light dusting of sriracha on top, or like how?
Well, that's up to your taste.
Up to our taste, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let me show you what these look like. Those look okay?
Oh, nice.
All right, so we're gonna still flip them, hopefully. That ought to be interesting because they look fairly delicate, but I'm gonna try that over here. Let's see if they'll flip. This is the tricky part. Yeah, they probably needed a little bit more water. I should have put a little water in them because they are falling apart when I'm flipping them. But that's all right. They're gonna taste delicious. All right, so flipping, got them all flipped. Now I'm just gonna do, like she says, a little squirt. So my trip to the grocery store on Wednesday, I was only able to get sriracha, so that's what I have. I just finished off my homemade sriracha, and I was gonna get actual hot sauce, but they didn't have it. So this is, what's happening in today's world, is we're making do with what we have. So, which is totally fine. And
really funny, in writing the book, I've explained what our inspiration was, but now when we look at it, it's like a cookbook we would have written had we known that we'd be in this situation, because it's all about entertaining for small groups at home. Very simple, easygoing recipes that are very flexible, and using local stuff. That's what we're all learning to do again.
Right. Yeah, and I think that is true. So, like, one of the things that I started doing, we'd done this years ago and we kind of fell out of the habit of it, is we found a local farm that was doing a farm share box every week.
Yeah.
And that's something, I'll post the link. So the USDA has basically all over the country, they have a listing. You can put your zip code in, and then you can find the farm shares near you that you can order and get local produce. And so if you've been having trouble shopping or feeling frustrated, or you want to just support local farms because they're so important to economies, but also just the quality of the food that we all are able to eat, really encourage you, if you have the budget, to do it. And it's not expensive, but you're getting, usually you have to drive to pick it up, but you're buying it directly from the farmer. So it's, you're getting stuff literally that was pulled out of the ground that morning, so it's going to be incredibly fresh. And it also challenges you a little bit to try to figure out what to do. And you also start to learn what really is seasonal, because we're so used to being able to get really anything we want at any time, because it's all flown in from around the world. And
it's not that great,
Yeah, sometimes it's not that great.
Come from Chile, not so good.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something I think for myself that I've been really learning through this process, is to recognize that I was really spoiled about being able to kind of eat what I wanted when I wanted. And that's sort of the one area in my life that I was, I would say, sort of not extravagant in the sense of, like, I wasn't buying foie gras or truffles or lobster or anything like that. But if I had a desire to have Flourless espresso chocolate cookies tonight, if I didn't have the ingredients, I would just run to the store and pick those ingredients up. And so now I shop once every 3 weeks, and then supplement with the farm box, and maybe a little trip to the store around the corner where they don't have a lot of selection. So I think it is really helping all of us understand how important it is to buy local, to support local farms, and to be flexible. And I think that's one of the things I really did love about these recipes is, now, could you make this with canned fish? I assume you could, this burger?
You absolutely could.
Yeah, so would you recommend canned albacore or canned salmon, do you think?
Salmon.
Salmon.
Yeah, the tuna would be a little much, maybe.
Okay, so that's another thought, like if you don't have access to either fresh fish or frozen fillets. I know I'm super lucky, our next door neighbor fishes, and we have another friend who is a commercial fisherman where they take people out on trips, and so whenever we're low on fish, we just let one of them know, and they'll drop off 4 or 5 packages for us, which that just did not used to be my life. So my normal life was, I would go to the store and look in the frozen aisle and pick the cheapest stuff. But canned fish like Alaska wild salmon is very affordable, and it's also incredibly good for us. So there are lots of options for this, and that's what I really liked. I liked there's a grated carrot in there because it adds moisture, but it also adds some nutrition. I'm really curious to see the flavor profile, the flavor combination. So yeah, I'm excited about it. So when did the book actually come out, Stacy?
What's that?
When did the book actually come out?
Oh, the book was released April 7th.
Okay.
So just over a month ago.
So smack in the middle of the pandemic, right?
Exactly.
Did you have a bunch of events planned and stuff?
Oh, so many events. So many events. There's actually a long list on my website, stacydermont.com, that just says postpone, postpone, postpone. And so we're very much looking forward to doing live events all over the East End and beyond. We have been doing lots of Zoom events for local libraries and things like that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so everybody's kind of adapting, right, in various ways, but certainly it's not the same as being able to offer tastes of things or do a cooking demonstration in person. And that's partly why I created this series, was to help people figure out how to cook at home, but then also to support other authors, because I know it's really, really sad to have spent all this time and be all excited about your book, and then all of a sudden now you're not able to do any of those events that you want to do. Okay, I'm going to show these to you, and then I'm going to show them to the camera. So they did fall apart a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, so what would have fixed that? A little bit of water?
Probably.
Okay.
You might have put a little more muscle into squeezing them together. That's no big deal.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to just pull, I guess I'm going to describe it as more of a pile than a patty, but I'm going to pull part of it off.
Delicious pile.
The delicious pile of yummy fishness. All right, and then we're going to give that a taste. All right, so let's see what we think. It looks very yummy. I'm excited. So it has like a crab cake texture. So if you've had like a really good Maryland Shore crab cake with a lump crab meat, that's kind of the texture of it. Yeah, the mustard seeds are not strong, but they add some nice little texture in there.
Exactly, yeah, little pops.
I like the hot sauce. I think the hot sauce adds a lot of nice flavor. Yeah, those are really nice.
I'm happy you're happy. This is my first experience of somebody cooking from it with me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, very delicious. And they also taste, like I just feel healthier. Like there's something like, you can just sort of feel the nutrition. I mean, it's delicious. It's not like a health food store if you have a negative connotation of that, but there's something like, it just feels like it's really nourishing my body, which is super nice. And I think during this time, what I'm trying to show people is all the kinds of recipes that really help to support our body, our immune system, because we do want to be able to fight things off like this particular virus, but also, viruses and bacteria and stuff in general. So yeah, it's really lovely. So you can follow Stacy, stacydermont.com, and her co-author is Hillary Davis with 2 L's and 1 R, hillary-davis.com. You can follow me, S. Weaver MPH. If you're watching this on YouTube, come on over to Facebook and follow me, Stephanie Weaver MPH. It's the Hamptons Kitchen, and I would encourage you to ask your local independent bookstore to order it for you. They're happy to do that, and then a lot of them either have curbside pickup, or some of them are doing local delivery. But that way you're supporting your local indie bookstore. It's a beautiful book. It's also kind of a coffee table book. It's kind of an escape, so you can imagine you're in the Hamptons. So there's some really nice things, and I'm really excited to make some more recipes from it. Stacy, thank you so much for being here today, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys all again soon. Bye.
Thank you.